so
No problem.
hecking good to see you. And I'm pronouncing it right. It's Ren, right?
Likewise. Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Coolio. So I got some questions for you. Some of them are going to be a little weird and philosophical, and some of them are going to be more career-based. So I'm curious to see what do you think? So first of all, when did you start your YouTube channel, and when did you start like taking it seriously and start posting more on it? Because right now you are at like, is it 7.8K? What is your number right now?
Something about that. It's like 7 something, I don't know, but it's quite recent stuff, honestly. Like, it hasn't been like this for a long time. Mostly it's because the Dune came out, and things happened, and yeah, that helped. But as for your question, when did I start taking it seriously? The answer is, I suppose, not yet.
I like that.
Because, like, honestly, I just do it whenever I feel like it. Honestly, I don't feel like a pressure to grow it in any particular way. I have 2 bands that I'm like actively working to develop, and like my personal YouTube channel is just like, whenever I have like just like an ADHD strike and I feel like sharing something random with people, then I do it.
I love that. See, that's for me. That's an awesome, refreshing thing. Because my YouTube channel for me has been such like, I have to get this out. I have a to-do list to do, because I am inundated with like people being like, oh, you got to see this, you got to see this, and I mean, I could do that for literally hundreds of years and never see all of the things on the planet Earth. So for me, it feels more like, oh, I got to get a checklist. So it's nice to hear from somebody who's like, I just do it when I'm inspired. That's honestly, I could probably take some of that, Ren. I feel like I should take some of that on my channel.
It's very very nice system.
No kidding, no kidding. So I did see a little snippet of the video where you were recording the sound library. Can you talk a little bit about how you were approached to have your voice turned into a sound library?
Oh, that's a cool story. So basically, I created this like Dune, cover video, and I was contacted by a bunch of people. The first people who contacted me was like a band from Sweden, I think, and it's like a death metal band called Humanity Last Breath or something. And I recorded some vocals, and after that there were a bunch of other people who wanted to have a piece of my throat singing, basically. And I was contacted by a guy from Kazakhstan, from a company called Wavelet Audio, and he was like, I want to create something with your voice, and it's going to be like a virtual instrument, but I don't have like a very specific idea yet, so I'm open to suggestions. And the initial call was very like weird, because we had like quite severe internet connection issues, and we couldn't understand each other perfectly, and also, we are both like Eastern Europeans trying to speak in English in like crowded spaces with bad internet, so it wasn't great. But but I decided that it's worth a shot, and turns out that Evgeny, who is the like creator of Wavelet Audio, he's like such a sweet, like very very nice guy, and we sort of together, developed the idea of this like throat singing VST based on the Dune movie, basically the scene in the Dune movie. So it was both the visual and audio inspiration. And then there was a lot of recording. That was like a year of recording samples, I think. And it messed up my voice many times. I learned a lot during that, because I've been throat singing for like, I don't know, somewhat about 7-8 years right now. And it was the first time ever when I had to like do it almost daily, for a long period of time, and do like very difficult stuff. Like before that, I was just like, just going with the flow. But with this project, I had to be like, perfectly on pitch and have the good tone to it. So it was very difficult. I was also really pushed me to my limits in terms of the scale, because before that I was, just throat singing some very very simple melodies, but with this one I had to basically push like, I don't know, quite a lot of range, basically over and above what I was able to do before. So it was a challenge, but it was a great lesson. So yeah, I'm
Jeez
happy.
Louise. No, I would be happy too. It reminds me a lot of the same idea that people give me when they do like video game stuff. Like when they're given like a huge character in video games, it's like you not only have to record all the dialogue, but you have to record all the like like all the kind of like getting hit kind of things. So that, yeah, that's fascinating. And you never think that like getting your voice to be used for something like that for an entire library, it's like, yeah, it's a huge honor, but that's a huge undertaking. That's a huge task. And I mean, I've only worked with producers for a little while as far as putting my voice into like EDM or like trance or like music like that. And we specifically worked on doing it with no auto tune, which is great, fantastic. But when
Yeah.
you're trying to tune to a mechanical instrument and you're a vocalist, holy nuts, it's really, really hard. It's
Yeah,
very
it is, but
difficult.
at the same time, it really depends on I suppose, the philosophy behind voice, because I suppose that if you have the philosophy of having your voice, having like a perfect pitch, then, might as well use autotune, I suppose. But if you want to have something that feels organic, I personally am of the opinion that it's good to keep some things that keep the voice natural and organic, because like a lot of producers, for example, cut out all the breaths,
Yes.
from vocal takes,
Mhm.
right? And personally, like when we produce music, because me and my girlfriend, we produce a lot of music like almost daily for different projects, for games too, and we always keep the breaths and pretty much any organic sounds, because it just adds to it. It makes you feel like it was actually produced by a human, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just the philosophy thing.
No, that's well, and it's interesting you say that because I'm a voice teacher, and like by trade, that's like what I get the majority of my money from is voice teaching. And one of the things that I've noticed is instrumentalists will come to me and they'll be like, "I want to be a good singer. I want to like I'm a good instrumentalist, but I want to be a good singer." And they get so hung up on being right in the center of the pitch, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but singing is actually a lot to do with if you're singing below the pitch or above the pitch. Are you sagging on the pitch? Because if you're sagging on the
Mm.
pitch, you're showing an emotion. And if you're above
Mhm.
the pitch, you're showing it's an excited sound and it moves beyond the actual
Mhm.
pitch. So for me, like, we have to be able to have that kind of change even in the intonation. So that's fascinating that you also kind of have that philosophy. I think there's a lot more wiggle room when it comes to intonation than a lot of people think. And I think
Mhm.
autotune has really kind of pushed us in a limiting space as vocalists because it's hard to, pull yourself out of a corner of mechanical perfection.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I understand that.
Mm.
So, I'm curious about your training. What training have you had in music or singing? This is formal or informal. Like, tell me the training that
Uh,
you've had.
I had zero training, formal training,
Love that.
or I don't know, like if I can count training myself as
Yes, you can. You
as
can.
informal
Yes, but
training.
talk about the self
So
training that you did.
yeah,
I'm curious.
uh, yeah. So I don't know. I think I picked up on music when I was sort of quit in middle school. Actually, my dad used to be a musician when he was a bit younger, in a folk band called Verkhovena. They used to play like Ukrainian folk songs, basically, and he pushed me into the direction of just trying to do music, I guess. He showed me some basic stuff on recorder, on guitar, and a couple of years later he actually inspired me to learn throat singing, because he can also throat sing actually a bit. He never really practiced it a lot, but he can make the sound, he can make the very nice resonance. So I got inspired by that. And for me, mostly, like for the longest period of my musical journey, I think it's actually been more of an instrumentalist, not a vocalist, actually.
Mhm.
I've been mostly playing like wind instruments, recorders, flutes, and very different ethnic flutes. Also, I play Joe harp a lot. I love Joe harps. I think they are like very underestimated instrument.
Yeah.
And I've been trying out many different instruments, and I had the philosophy of like trying out new things and trying to like master them enough to be able to record something with them, but not enough to be a master at it, right?
Yeah.
So I just tried to learn stuff to produce music, basically. So I play, guitars a bit. I play some bowed instruments like viola, cello, a didgeridoo, and a lot of stuff, basically,
Yeah.
on a pretty basic level. But yeah, 7 years ago, I think I kinda pushed more into that like vocalist and throat singing, mainly throat singing, area.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what I know the instrumentalist thing, and especially it seems like woodwinds and strings are kind of like where you focus a lot of your time when it comes to your instrument learning, and then the vocalist thing is slightly different. But of course, human bodies are technically woodwinds, so it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a
That's
little
true.
bit about like what is different about teaching yourself how to sing or throat sing than playing a woodwind instrument or playing strings? Like, what are there any difficulties? Is it any different? Is it any easier?
Well, I would say the main difference is that when you are doing vocals, like when you play and learn instruments, most of them you cannot really hurt yourself. While when you learn vocals, you can absolutely, have some pain while doing that, and it can be quite stressful on your body, and not just your throat. So it's all the things about like neck tension and even belly with your diaphragm and stuff. It's a process of like, with instruments you mostly just rely on your hands, right? You need to be good with your fingers, and you have to like have a good connection with your brain, coordination and stuff. But with vocals, it's like you are the instrument, and it's way more complicated, I would say, than instruments. Vocals are tough.
Vocals are incredibly tough. I'm glad that you've given us vocalists a little bit of respect there, because for sure it's hard. And one of the things I always tell my students is like, you don't get to trade in your violin at the end of the day. If somebody says that they do not like your voice, it's you, and then you have to deal with the psychological repercussions of that. And so I think there's a huge amount of psychological stuff that goes in and mixes in with the idea that you literally are the instrument. So it becomes very neurotic. It becomes very difficult. I have a really weird left field question for you. And I like to ask this to musicians, just because I think it's interesting to see what the responses are. So how would you, Ren, define the word music? And what is music to you?
Oh, that's a tough one,
know it
I
is.
guess. It's like, the sort of question when you have to think more and try to sound smart.
Exactly. But like, even if it's just oh, well, this is just what I feel music is. Like, it doesn't even have to sound smart. Like, it can be so simple and like whatever. What is it to you?
It's I would say it's an integral part to being a human, and not only a human, but also like just like biological body, an animal in essence, because animals make music too, and I would say, it's like something that is very deep in our DNA, like the connection with sounds and connection with the patterns in the sounds, I would say. So it's very tribal, it's very primitive. You have a deep connection, like when you hear just someone playing like a big shamanic frame drum, you can there's something that it touches like in you. And I think that music is Also, quite maybe controversially, but I would say music is also a bit of a drug. Maybe even like a, just a psychoactive one, I would say, even. Because it certainly can alter the way you perceive things, I would suppose. Like, if you are deep enough in music, you can absolutely go into the trance state and, flow away. Uh, so yeah, music is great.
It
That's
is.
the
It's
essence
great.
of
It's
it.
it's I like the idea like that it's tribal, right? That it's like so deeply rooted in us. And
Yeah.
talking about the vibrations especially, I think is very, very pertinent to what you do in your throat singing and how you create those sounds. And I can't imagine how much your body vibrates because I know obviously like when I'm singing my stuff and it's like in that wheelhouse and it's with my money notes, like everything just vibrates and my whole body feels like it's vibrating. Can you talk about maybe where you feel some of the resonance, or do you feel like a resonance or a vibration in your body when you're doing the throat singing in particular?
So yeah, I'm a weird I'm a weird case here because like for most people who do throat singing, Kargira throat singing, they do tend to resonate quite a lot. And I think that the problem with me may be that I was a self-learned throat singer, so I think I may have approached it from a bit different perspective than other people. So my resonance wasn't really great, like ever, honestly. And I was mostly focusing on the throat here and the resonance in this area, But a lot of people have a lot of resonance in their chest and their corpus, essentially. But yeah, but for me, it's mostly been this area here. And hence, actually, why I was sort of I wished I was able to have that deep resonance like some other people who throat sing, and I think this is actually the main reason that pushed me into trying to learn this subharmonic variant of it that allowed me to give myself that deep, low resonance without actually, unlocking my body that much. Because like when I do it, it's uh, depends on the day, but sometimes it's a bit tense, if I don't warm up properly. But even if I am a bit tense with that technique, I'm able to go like very low,
Yeah.
right? There's ups and lows about my technique, I suppose, but at least I've had enough time to, let's say, meditate on that subject to know what I do right, what I do wrong, and being able to tell that to people who I sometimes also teach throat singing, because I can tell them, okay, so I did this wrong, but you can do it right, right?
Right.
And I try to teach people the right way, even though I don't necessarily do it myself, because I just had different, inspirations for my sound of throat singing. Um, like a lot of people who throat sing take inspiration from Mongolian and Tuvan music, and in these cultures they have very strong, stable, beautiful resonance. But well, my main inspiration for throat singing was Hailung.
Yeah.
And Kai, who is like main vocalist, his resonance is more like mine resonance in the sense that it's more gritty, it's more there's more air to it, there's more noise to it, it's more like metal vocals almost, actually. So
Yeah, that's
um,
really fascinating.
there's a
That is
difference.
so cool.
Yeah.
So specifically, I'm so interested to hear the differences between that. So now that you've I guess studied this on your own for like 7-8 years, can you replicate maybe the Mongolian sound, or like, because you say you talk to your students about like, okay, the right way and the wrong way. Can you give us a sampling of maybe what the right way would be and what the more metal way would be, and kind of talk about the differences? Is that a possibility?
Well, I'm not sure if that's something that is very audible, let's say, but Probably it's more about, like I said, it's more like the resonance, how you feel it, right?
Okay.
As a
So
singer,
it wouldn't be
because
something you'd hear, it'd be something you'd just feel.
yeah, not only, but from my perspective, it's the main difference. Actually, just recently started to figure out how other people do it with this open resonance. But I'm not sure if you would be able, or anyone would be able to hear the difference.
Maybe not.
But let's see. I will try. I will try to do the traditional resonance, I suppose. I guess. It's very resonant in the mouth area and nasal cavity.
Yeah.
And it utilizes a lot of these like overtones that you produce with different mouth shapes and tongue positions. And my way was always like, very breathy, I suppose, and very like, I was really, let's say, squeezing
It's
it a
more
lot. So like,
throaty.
it's very straightforward. It's like I'm trying to like shot with the sound. It's like very.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of resonance just going not here, but more like in front.
I did hear the difference. I did. I think the more traditional sound to me, you're right, is way more nasal, and it sounded like it was like the Mongolian version is placed in one place and then it just sits there and vibrates. And then your version moves towards like you're using a compression somewhere either in the throat, the mouth, whatever, where you feel it or where you're putting it, and that is the impetus that moves it forward. And so it sounds more like metal, it sounds more like thrasher maybe, and it sounds more like the tone is exciting, like exciting forward rather than just kind of luxuriating in a space. So first of all, what do you like most about being, I'm going to say, an online bard? I know that might be a silly term, but I totally am just like okay with being an online bard. And I know for some people it's like, doesn't feel the same way. But what do you like most about posting this stuff online and seeing the response and doing what you do online?
That's a good question. I think mostly my idea is here that as someone who enjoys listening to music, I just like to listen to new music, right? And I like to check out people who make cool music and cool sounds, etc. So, I just feel like being a part of this and adding my little brick to the wall of people who share cool stuff that other people can check out and get inspired by. It's just cool. You are part of the community that likes to just share the passion for sounds and music, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I agree. I think that's an incredible part of the internet is that like the community, like you find your corner of the internet where people are like just like you doing what you're doing at the same capacity, which is just fascinating because I just haven't found that anywhere else in the world, which is really really cool. Now, what do you hate most about being an online bard?
Oh boy. What? Nothing really, I suppose. Maybe the only thing that I do would be, you know, the the bar. How high the bar is of actually trying to produce something that has high quality, because like there's so many people who produce stuff at such a high quality that it's very difficult to chase that and to achieve that level, especially if you are just one two people who just don't have a lot of money, don't have a lot of budget to make things. And we try. We have this with my partner. We have this band called Stwór, and we try to produce a lot of. We mostly are like producers, but we also try to do some live gigs. But our idea is to try to not only make music but also make cool music videos for them. And it's a learning process, but I think we are starting to get the idea of how to make it in a way that is enjoyable to watch, and that it doesn't look I don't know, like a newbie.
Yeah, I totally jive with that as well. That is hard to do because again, like when you are doing the online bard thing, you are not only your own editor, but your own videographer, producer, musician, instrumentalist, singer, performer. I mean, you're everything. You are everything. So
Yep.
it's a wonderful and crazy thing to do. I will agree with that. So, what is your dream gig? If you were gonna like think about
Well,
the dream, like if like one gig that you're like, if I could do this, I would be like, that's a dream. That's a dream.
But do you mean like a live gig where you play on stage, or
Both.
okay? Well, that would certainly be something along the lines of playing maybe as support or even as a session musician with some of my like favorite bands, maybe like 3 of them. And yeah, that would be cool. That's something that's that I would say is a dream come true, I would say, I suppose.
So what are the people that you would want to work with?
Oh, you mean like the bands, for example, that I would well, there's Heilung for certain, and I was close to that in a way because I was recording along their parts for the Hellblade 2 just recently.
I'm sorry,
And,
your voice was in Hellblade?
yes, and my partners too.
Can you talk about that a little bit? I'm kind of starstruck because my husband's playing that right now. Can you talk about that?
That's nice. Well, yeah. Also, thanks to the Dune video, like many things recently, but I was contacted by Ninja Theory and more specifically the guy who does music in their studio, David Garcia. And yeah, he wanted me to do some throat singing. And I was actually recording over the parts of Kai, the frontman of Heilung, so I was sort of, recording with them, kind of, let's say, stretch it out, right? But yeah, I was recording a lot of samples from my home, and when we did these samples a couple of months later, they invited me and my girlfriend over to Cambridge, actually. So it was my first, plane flight, basically. And we went to Cambridge, and yeah, we spent 2 days there recording some music and instruments and vocals, and it was a blast. It was really cool stuff. Very very nice adventure. My girlfriend Arunka composed like 2 melodies that I think are used in the game, so that's pretty cool.
That's more than cool.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Congratulations. I'm like so stoked for you right now. That is so cool. When did that happen?
Yeah.
How long ago
it
was that?
Last autumn. So yeah, last fall. Yeah, it was fun. It was the first time we worked on something of this scale, and it was a blast. The people who work at Ninja Theory, because like we didn't know what to expect. It was a little bit of a wild ride to just fly somewhere to Cambridge and just you don't know what's coming, and we were very pleasantly surprised. Just by the sheer hospitality of these people. It was amazing. Like I suppose that the reason that it impacted us a lot is that in Poland the overall mentality isn't quite like that. Like people are more competitive, and they don't really there's less of that treating everyone equally thing, you know.
Less of the camaraderie,
And
maybe.
yeah, yeah. And when we went there, we were like, you know, we were there only for 2 days, and we were just, you know, some minor session musicians, but we were treated as, you know, like employees, basically, like parts of the team. So that was very nice.
Dude, that is so. I am so glad that I like stumbled on that information. That's gonna blow my mind. Do you know how much I'm gonna be like, one of my friends that I know personally, is part of the Hellblade game? Like, come on now. I'm gonna drop your name all the time. You joking? That's incredible. Congratulations. Okay, last question. Last question, I promise. What is the project that you're working on right now that you're either really excited about or really proud of?
Okay, so mm, that's two things actually. So I don't know what can I say. I don't I don't think I can say a lot, but I can only say that me and my girlfriend have been working for the past year as well on some mysterious project that we don't actually know a lot about, but we know it's gonna be 5 very cool cinematic songs in the style of like Viking Norse sagas. So again, the Viking theme, like with Hellblade, but this time we actually recorded, composed, and produced all the 5 songs. And we don't know anything about it. It's probably going to be something along the lines of, I don't know. It's gonna be 5 cool Viking songs that are going to be part of something, and we'll see what that will be. Actually, that's for the question what we are excited about, because we don't know. It's a surprise. We'll learn with time what's it gonna be, but it has potential to be something very, very cool. And the other thing that we are working on right now is actually turning the Sardaukar Dune chant cover thing into a whole song, actually. So we are producing a song out of this that's going to be like, I think, 6-7 minute song that's going to incorporate the lyrics that I took from the Dune movie, and a lot of throat singing, obviously, and we're going to do it in the style of Heilung, sort of. And by in the style of Heilung, I mean like a lot of drums, multi-layer vocals, whispers, ASMR stuff, weird noises, many instruments. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool, and we are getting there. It's probably going to release like within a month. So yeah, that's something I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah, I would be super excited about that too. How long ago did you release the Sardaukar chant video that got viral on YouTube?
Whew, that's a tough question.
Was it when the first one came out?
I mean, yeah, it was a couple months after the first one came out. I actually needed some time because, like, when the movie released, I watched it not on the premiere date. It was a bit later, and I watched it, and as soon as I heard throat singing in the movie, I was like, okay, it's gonna be big. People are going to be making like
crazy stuff about it,
funny edits with it, and I was not mistaken. And I thought, yeah, it's a cool idea to try to give it a go. So I did. It took me, I think, 2 months to actually get down to the proper resonance I wanted to achieve with it, because in the movie, the tricky thing with throat singing in general is that it's very much how low you can throat sing is very much dependent on your voice, right? And my voice isn't very low. Like, I don't have a very deep, manly, resonant voice. I'm more in the middle register, I suppose. And with my throat singing, I could not go as low as the guy in the movie. His name is Michael Giger, or Geiger, I think. I think it's Giger, actually. And Geiger.
I was gonna say, does he really have the last name as I would say Geiger, like the artist that influenced a lot of the Sardaukar stuff. So it's funny they have the same last name.
Probably. Probably. Anyway, so his throat singing was very low, and I couldn't do it with my, regular throat singing. So I had to work on that subharmonic register because just a quick note, like when you have Kargira throat singing, most people can do it like this, and it's the traditional way to do it. But it's possible to use the subharmonic technique, which allows you to drop down a fifth, and it's something that's like, for example, choir singers in Orthodox choirs do. There's these so-called octavists, right? David Larson is a guy who is expert on that matter on YouTube here. He makes awesome content regarding the subharmonic singing, but I don't think he is aware that you can implement this technique to throat singing. So basically it's about relaxing your voice to the point where it drops down, but still doesn't go into the fry register, right? So if you talk in a very relaxed manner, and just sometimes it can slip into the subharmonic register. So like if I talk very low, it sucks. I cannot do it very well. But the principle is that you have a steady note, and without altering the pitch, you drop down an octave or a fifth, and so on. And since, for example, if I sing E, let's just pretend that it's C because I don't have perfect pitch, right? So I'm gonna be like ooh, ooh, right? If I implement Kargira throat singing to that, I drop down an octave, so I do not change the pitch. Ooh, right? That's why it's so bassy. It just drops down an octave. And then if I implement the subharmonic relaxation to it, it drops down a fifth to A, right? Ooh.
That's so cool, dude. That is so neat. I love that. Oh man, that is so cool. Golly. Yeah, I'm sure there are so many people that know so much more about subharmonics and all of that. I don't. I think it's cool how you can just manipulate the tubes in your body and make it happen.
Yeah, it's very technical, but at the same time, it's your body, it's
Yeah.
organic, it's everyone's body. Everyone's body is quite similar, so, with some differences, but everyone could hypothetically do what I just did, right? And that's also true for women. Actually, there's not a lot of women who throat sing, sadly, but there's a growing trend that some women are trying out to try this, and it can be a bit tougher for some women, I suppose, from like statistical point of view, but it's absolutely possible. And I know a couple of great female vocalists who can throat sing, and very well actually. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. Does your girlfriend ever try out any of the throat singing?
Yeah, absolutely. She can do Kargira quite well, actually. Uh, she cannot keep the pitch for very very long, because when you do not practice it daily, even after like I've been practicing it for 7-8 years, and if I don't practice it daily for 3-4 days, it's going to be a bit of a relearning process, let's say. So you have to get back in shape, essentially. And since she doesn't do it daily, her voice just didn't have enough time to make it feel comfortable. So she just feels, itchiness and stuff. But it's something that goes away after like half a year of daily practice, I would say. And then it's not painful at all, and actually is a great vocal warm-up.
Yeah, that's interesting because you talk about the itchiness that happens, and that So the itchiness happens in the beginning and it goes away after 6 months, roughly?
That was my experience, yeah.
Wow.
And from the YouTube comments under my like tutorial videos, people have been commenting that it's similar for them as well. Like 4-5 months of practicing quite on a regular basis allowed them to not feel any discomfort. Because only at first it's a bit like, oh, your body is acting weird and it has to adjust to it, and it takes some time to get the muscles used to it, but after a while it's perfectly fine.
That's fascinating. Wow. Thank you so much for giving me so much information about this. I have no more questions. Like you rock. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. Thank you for being so excited to like talk about this stuff, because a lot of times on YouTube it feels very lonely when we're just kind of making our stuff, by ourselves and doing
Yeah.
our own thing. But it's really helpful to talk to other people who are just creating and just doing this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's helpful to know that
Yeah.
like, yes, that video, that Sardaukar video is it's a beautiful like gem in your career, but it's something that opened up so much more for you and really allowed you to do what you wanted to
Absolutely.
do with your career, which again is why I think online barding is a great thing, because it opens up doors for people like you and I, and I'm just such a champion of that. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your information,
Thanks.
and I'm gonna let you have the rest of your day, and I will edit this and put it on YouTube.
Okay, great.
Cool.